يشودش لما قرللي نوهت برحمة ربا روحاخ من رحفة النفشي وملي نخرى قرطا يشودش لما حولا شينا رحمانا دل مقدش آتا روح قم بقلبي أبدش ما يشب حالك رمشا شيخ انت نافح يشو قريب بنشمش فيا كل قديش شريا مقو شمشا من لي لبي بحيا يشود السلام حولا شينا رحمانا قدش روح قلبي
Yohanan 13, John 13. And before the festival of the Passover, Yeshua, knowing that his hour had come, that he should move out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. And supper taking place, the devil having already put it into the heart of Yehuda from Quiread, son of Shimon, to deliver him up. Yeshua, knowing that the Father had given all into his hands, and that he had come from Elohim and was going to Elohim, rose from supper and laid aside his garments, and having taken a towel, he girded himself. After that he put water into a basin and began to wash the feet of the taught ones, and to wipe them with the towel with which he was girded. And so he came to 𝐤𝐄𝐄, and he said to him, Master, do you wash my feet? Yeshua answered and said to him, You do not know what I am doing now, but you shall know after this. 𝐤𝐄 said to him, By no means shall you wash my feet ever. Yeshua answered him, If I do not wash you, you have no part with me. 𝐤𝐿 said to him, Master, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Yeshua said to him, He who has head above does not need to wash, except his feet, but is clean altogether, and you are all clean, but not all of you. For he knew who would deliver him up, so he said, You are not all clean. So when he had washed their feet, and taken his garments, and sat down again, he said to them, Do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and master, and you say, Well, for I am. Then if I, master and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I give you an example, that you should do as I have done to you. Truly, truly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is an emissary greater than he who sent him. If you know these teachings, blessed are you if you do them. I do not speak concerning all of you. I know whom I have chosen, but that the scripture may be fulfilled, He who eats bread with me has lifted up his heel against me. Now I say to you, before it takes place, that when it does take place, you shall believe that I am. Truly, truly I say to you, he who receives whomever I send receives me, and he who receives me receives him who sent me. When Yeshua had said this, he was troubled in Ruach, and witnessed and said, Truly, truly I say to you, one of you shall deliver me up. The taught ones looked at one another, doubting of whom he spoke. And one of his taught ones, whom Yeshua loved, was reclining on the bosom of Yeshua. 𝐤𝐄𝐄𝐄 then mentioned to him to ask who it was of whom he spoke. And leaning back on the breast of Yeshua, he said to him, Master, who is it? Yeshua answered, It is he to whom I shall give a piece of bread when I have dipped it. And having dipped the bread, he gave it to Yehuda from 𝐤𝐄𝐄, son of Shimon. And after the piece of bread, Satan entered into him. Yeshua therefore said to him, What you do quickly. But no one at the table knew why he said this to him. For some were supposing, because Yehuda had the bag, that Yeshua was saying to him, Buy what we need for the festival, or that he should give somewhat to the poor. So, having received the piece of bread, he then went out straight away, and it was night. When, therefore, he went out, Yeshua said, Now the son of Adam has been esteemed, and Elohim has been esteemed in him. If Elohim has been esteemed in him, Elohim shall also esteem him in himself, and straightway esteem him. Little children, yet a little while I am with you. You shall seek me. And as I said to the Yehudim, Where I am going, you are unable to come. I now also say to you, a renewed command I give to you, that you love one another, as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this shall all know that you are my taught ones, if you have love for one another. 𝐤𝐄𝐄𝐄 said to him, Master, where are you going? Yeshua answered him, Where I am going you are unable to follow me now, but afterwards you shall follow me. 𝐤𝐄𝐄 said to him, Master, why am I unable to follow you now? I shall lay down my life for you. Yeshua answered him, Shall you lay down your life for me? Truly, truly I say to you, the cock shall not crow at all until you have denied me 3 times. Let not your heart be troubled. Believe in Elohim, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many staying places, and if not, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I shall come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, you might be too. And where I go you know, and the way you know. Thomas said to him, Master, we do not know where you are going, and how are we able to know the way? Yeshua said to him, I am the way, and the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father too. From now on you know him, and have seen. Philip said to him, Master, show us the Father, and it is enough for us. Yeshua said to him, Have I been with you so long, and you have not known me, Philip? He who has seen me has seen the Father, and how do you say, Show us the Father? Do you not believe that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak from myself, but the Father who stays in me does his works. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me. Otherwise believe me because of the works themselves. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me, the works that I do, he shall do also. And greater works than this he shall do, because I go to my Father. And whatever you ask in my name, that I shall do, in order that the Father may be esteemed in the Son. If you ask whatever in my name, I shall do it. If you love me, you shall guard my commands. And I shall ask the Father, and he shall give you another helper to stay with you forever, the Ruach of the truth, whom the world is unable to receive, because it does not see him or know him. But you know him, for he stays with you and shall be in you. I shall not leave you orphans, I am coming to you. Yet a little while, and the world no longer sees me, but you shall see me, because I live, and you shall live. In that day you shall know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you. He who possesses my commands and guards them, it is he who loves me, and he who loves me shall be loved by my Father, and I shall love him and manifest myself to him. Yehuda, not the one from 𝐤𝐄𝐄, said to him, Master, what has come about that you are about to manifest yourself to us, and not to the world? Yeshua answered him, If anyone loves me, he shall guard my word, and my Father shall love him, and we shall come to him and make our stay with him. He who does not love me does not guard my words, and the word which you hear is not mine, but of the Father who sent me. These words I have spoken to you while I still with you, but the Helper, the set-apart Ruach, whom the Father shall send in my name, he shall teach you all and remind you of all that I said to you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. You heard that I said to you, I am going away and I am coming to you. If you did love me, you would have rejoiced that I said, I am going to the Father, for my Father is greater than I. And now I have told you before it takes place, that when it does take place, you shall believe. I shall no longer talk much with you, for the ruler of this world is coming, and he possesses none at all in me. But in order for the world to know that I love the Father, and that as the Father commanded me, so I am doing. Rise up, let us go from here. I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. Every branch in me that bears no fruit he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit he prunes, so that it bears more fruit. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Stay in me, and I stay in you. As the branch is unable to bear fruit of itself unless it stays in the vine, so neither you, unless you stay in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who stays in me, and I in him, he bears much fruit, because without me you are able to do naught. If anyone does not stay in me, he is thrown away as a branch. He is thrown away as a branch and dries up, and they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. If you stay in me, and my words stay in you, you shall ask whatever you wish, and it shall be done for you. In this my Father is esteemed, that you bear much fruit, and you shall be my taught ones. As the Father has loved me, I have also loved you. Stay in my love. If you guard my commands, you shall stay in my love, even as I have guarded my Father's commands and stay in his love. These words I have spoken to you, so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy might be complete. This is my command, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends, if you do whatever I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for a servant does not know what his master is doing, but I have called you friends. For all teachings which I heard from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you, and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should remain, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he might give you. These words I command you, so that you love one another. If the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love its own. But because you are not of the world, but I choose you out of the world, for that reason the world hates you. Remember the word that I said to you, a servant is not greater than his master. If they persecute me, they shall persecute you too. If they have guarded my word, they would guard yours too. But all this they should do to you because of my name, because they do not know him who sent me. If I had not come and spoken to them, they would have no sin. But now they have no excuse for their sin. He who hates me hates my Father as well. If I did not do among them the works which no one else did, they would have no sin. But now they have both sinned and have hated both me and my Father. But that the word might be filled, which was written in the Torah, they hated me without a cause. And when the Helper comes, whom I shall send to you from the Father, the Ruach of the truth, who comes from the Father, he shall bear witness of me. But you also bear witness, because you have been with me from the beginning. These words I have spoken to you, so that you do not stumble. They shall put you out of the congregations. But an hour is coming, when everyone who kills you shall think he is rendering service to Elohim, and this they shall do to you, because they did not know the Father nor me. But I have said these words to you, so that when the hour comes you remember that I told them to you. And these words I did not say to you at the beginning, for I was with you. But now I go away to him who sent me, and not one of you asked me, where are you going? But because I have said these words to you, grief has filled your heart. But I say the truth to you. It is better for you that I go away. For if I do not go away, the Helper shall not come to you at all. But if I go, I shall send him to you. And having come, he shall convict the world concerning sin, and concerning righteousness, and concerning judgment. Concerning sin, because they do not believe in me. Concerning righteousness, because I go to my Father, and you see me no more. Concerning judgment, because the ruler of this world is judged. I still have many words to say to you, but you are not able to bear them now. But when he comes, the Ruach of the truth, he shall guide you into all the truth. For he shall not speak from himself, but whatever he hears he shall speak, and he shall announce to you what is to come. He shall esteem me, for he shall take of what is mine, and announce it to you. All that the Father has is mine. That is why I said that he takes from what is mine, and announces it to you. A little while, and you do not see me, and again a little while, and you shall see me. Therefore some of his taught ones said to one another, what is this that he says to us, a little while, and you do not see me, and again a little while, and you shall see me, and because I am going to the Father. So they said, What is this that he says? A little while. We do not know what he is saying. Yeshua therefore knew that they were wishing to ask him, and he said to them, Are you asking one another about what I said? A little while, and you do not see me, and again a little while, and you shall see me. Truly, truly, I say to you that you shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice, and you shall be grieved, but your grief shall become joy. The woman has grief when she is in labor, because her hour has come. But as soon as she has given birth to the child, she no longer remembers the affliction, for joy that a man was born into the world. And you, therefore, have grief now, but I shall see you again, and your heart shall rejoice, and no one takes your joy away from you. And in that day you shall ask me none at all. Truly, truly, I say to you, whatever you ask the Father in my name, he shall give you. Until now you have asked not in my name. Ask, and you shall receive, in order that your joy might be complete. Those words I have spoken to you in figures of speech, but an hour is coming when I shall no longer speak to you in the figures of speech, but I shall declare the Father plainly to you. In that day you shall ask in my name, and I do not say to you that I shall pray the Father on your behalf, for the Father himself does love you, because you have loved me, and have believed that I came forth from Elohim. I came forth from the Father and have come into the world. Again I leave the world and go to the Father. His taught ones said to him, See, now you are speaking plainly and not using figure of speech. Now we know that you know all, and have no need that anyone should question you. By this we believe that you came forth from Elohim. Yeshua answered them, Do you now believe? See, an hour is coming, and has now come, that you are scattered, each to his own, and leave me alone. Yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me. These words I have spoken to you, that in me you might have peace. In the world you have pressure, but take courage. I have overcome the world. Yeshua said these words, and lifted up his eyes to the heaven, and said, Father, the hour has come. Esteem your Son, so that your Son also may esteem you. As you have given him authority over all flesh, that he should give everlasting life to all whom you have given him. And this is everlasting life, that they should know you, the only true Elohim, and Yeshua Messiah whom you have sent. I have esteemed you on the earth, having accomplished the work you have given me, that I should do. And now esteem me with yourself, Father, with the esteem which I had with you before the world was. I have revealed your name to the men whom you gave me out of the world. They were yours, and you gave them to me, and they have guarded your word. Now they have come to know that all you gave to me is from you, because the words which you gave to me I have given to them, and they have received them, and have truly known that I came forth from you, and they believe that you sent me. I pray for them. I do not pray for the world, but for those whom you have given me, for they are yours, and all mine are yours, and yours are mine, and I have been esteemed in them, and I am no more in the world, but these are in the world, and I come to you set apart. Father, guard them in your name, which you have given me, so that they might be one, as we are one. When I was with them in the world, I was guarding them in your name, which you have given me, and I watched over them, and not one of them perished, except the son of destruction, that the scripture might be filled. And now I come to you, and I speak these words in the world, so that they have my joy completed in them. I have given them your word, and the world hated them, because they are not of the world, as I am not of the world. I do not pray that you should take them out of the world, but that you keep them from the wicked one. They are not of the world, as I am not of the world. Set them apart in your truth. Your word is truth. As you sent me into the world, I also sent them into the world. And for them I set myself apart, so that they too might be set apart in truth. And I do not pray for this alone, but also for those believing in me through thy word, so that they all might be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, so that they too might be one in us, so that the world might believe that you have sent me. And the esteem which you gave me I have given them, so that they might be one as we are one. I in them, and you in me, so that they might be perfected into one, so that the world knows that you have sent me, and I have loved them as you have loved me. Father, I desire that those whom you have given me may be with me where I am, so that they see my esteem which you have given me, because you loved me before the foundation of the world. O righteous Father, indeed the world did not know you, but I knew you, and death knew that you sent me. And I have made your name known to them, and shall make it known, so that the love with which you loved me may be in them, and I in them. Having said these words, Yeshua went out with his taught ones beyond the Kidron torrent, where there was a garden, into which he and his taught ones entered. And Yehuda, who delivered him up, also knew the place, because Yeshua often met there with his taught ones. Yehuda then, having received the company of soldiers and officers from the chief priests and Pharisees, came there with lanterns and torches and weapons. Yeshua then, knowing all that would come upon him, went forward and said to them, Whom do you seek? They answered him, Yeshua of Nazareth. Yeshua said to them, I am. And Yehuda, who delivered him up, was also standing with them. When therefore he said to them, I am, they drew back and fell to the ground. Once more he asked them, Whom do you seek? And they said, Yeshua of Nazareth. Yeshua answered, I said to you that I am. If then you seek me, allow this to go. In order that the word might be filled, which he spoke, of those whom you have given me, I have lost none. Then Shimon Kepha, having a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant, and cut off his right ear, and the servant's name was Melech. Then Yeshua said to Kepha, Put your sword into the sheath. Shall I not drink the cup which my Father has given me? Then the company of soldiers and the commander and the officers of the Yehudim seized Yeshua and bound him. And they led him away to Yohanan first, for he was the father-in-law of 𝐤𝐄𝐿, who was high priest that year. Now 𝐤𝐿 was the one who gave counsel to the Yehudim that it was better that one man should die for the people. And Shimon Kepha followed Yeshua with another taught one, and that taught one was known to the high priest, and went with Yeshua into the courtyard of the high priest. But Kepha was standing outside at the door, So the other third one, who was known to the high priest, went out and spoke to her who kept the door and brought 𝐉𝐄 in. Then the servant girl who kept the door said to 𝐉𝐄, "Are you also one of this man's third ones?" He said, "I am not." And the servants and officers who had made a fire of coals stood there because it was cold, and they warmed themselves, and 𝐉𝐄 was standing with them and warming himself. Then the high priest asked Yeshua about his third ones and his teaching. Yeshua answered him, "I spoke openly to the world. I also taught in the congregation and in the set-apart place where the Yahudim always met. And I spoke no word in secret. Why do you ask me? Ask those who have heard me when I said to them, 'See, they know what I said.'" And when he had said this, one of the officers who stood by slapped Yeshua in the face, saying, "Do you answer the high priest this way?" Yeshua answered him, "If I have spoken evilly, bear witness of the evil. But if well, why do you strike me?" Then Yohanan sent him bound to the high priest 𝐉𝐄. And Shimon 𝐉𝐄 was standing and warming himself. Then they said to him, "Are you also one of his third ones?" He denied it and said, "I'm not." One of the servants of the high priest, a relative of the one whose ear 𝐉𝐄 cut off, said, "Did I not see you in the garden with him?" Then 𝐉𝐄 again denied it, and immediately a cock crowed. Then they led Yeshua from 𝐉𝐄 to the palace, and it was early, and they themselves did not go into the palace, lest they should be defiled, but that they might eat the Pesach. Pilate therefore came out to them and said, "What accusation do you bring against this man?" They answered and said to him, "If he were not an evildoer, we would not have delivered him up to you." Then Pilate said to them, "You take him and judge him according to your law." The Yahudim said to him, "It is not right for us to put anyone to death, in order that the word of Yeshua may be filled, which he spoke, signifying by what death he was about to die." Then Pilate went back into the palace and called Yeshua and said to him, "Are you the sovereign of the Yahudim?" Yeshua answered him, "Do you say this from yourself, or did others talk to you about me?" Pilate answered, "Am I a Yahudi? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you to me. What did you do?" Yeshua answered, "My reign is not of this world. If my reign were of this world, my servants would fight, so that I should not be delivered to the Yahudim. But now my reign is not from here." Then Pilate said to him, "You are a sovereign then." Yeshua answered, "You say it, because I am a sovereign. For this I was born, and for this I have come into the world, that I should bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" And when he had said this, he went out again to Yahudim and said to them, "I found no guilt in him. But you have a habit that I shall release someone to you at the Pesach. Do you wish, then, that I release to you the sovereign of the Yahudim?" Then they all shouted again, saying, "Not this one, but Barabbas." And Barabbas was a robber. Then therefore Pilate took Yeshua and flogged him. And the soldiers plaited a crown of thorns and placed it on his head. And they put a purple robe on him, and came to him and said, "Greetings, sovereign of the Yahudim." And they slapped him in the face. And Pilate went outside again and said to them, "See, I'm bringing him out to you, to let you know that I found no guilt in him." Then Yeshua came outside, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. And Pilate said to them, "See, the man!" So when the chief priests and officers saw him, they shouted, saying, "Nail him, nail him." Pilate said to them, "You take him and nail him, for I found no guilt in him." Then Yehudim answered him, "We have a law, and according to our law he ought to die, for he has made himself the son of Elohim." So when Pilate heard this word, he was more afraid, and went back into the palace and asked Yeshua, "Where are you from?" But Yeshua gave him no answer. Then Pilate said to him, "Do you not speak to me? Do you not know that I possess authority to nail you, and I possess authority to release you?" Yeshua answered, "You would possess no authority against me if it were not given you from above. Because of this, he who delivered me to you has greater sin." From then on, Pilate was seeking to release him, but the Yehudim shouted, saying, "If you release this one, you are not Caesar's friend. Everyone who makes himself a sovereign does speak against Caesar." Therefore, when Pilate heard these words, he brought Yeshua out and sat down in the judgment seat in a place that is called Pavement, but in Hebrew Gabbatha. And it was the preparation day of the Pesach week, and about the 6th hour, and he said to the Yehudim, "See, your sovereign." But they shouted, "Away, away, nail him." Pilate said to them, "Shall I nail your sovereign?" The chief priests answered, "We have no sovereign except Caesar." At the time then he delivered him to them to be nailed. And they took Yeshua and led him away. And bearing his stake, he went out to the so-called place of a skull, which is called in Hebrew Golgotha, where they nailed him, and 2 others with him, one on this side and one on that side, and Yeshua in the middle. And Pilate wrote a title too, and put it on the stake, and it was written, "Yeshua of Nazareth, the sovereign of the Yehudim." Many of Yehudim therefore read this title, for the place where Yeshua was nailed was near the city, and it was written in Hebrew, in Greek, in Roman. So the chief priests of the Yehudim said to Pilate, "Do not write the sovereign of the Yehudim," but he said, "I am the sovereign of the Yehudim." Pilate answered, "What I have written, I have written." Then the soldiers, when they had nailed Yeshua, took his outer garments and made 4 parts, to each soldier a part, and the inner garment. But the inner garment was without seam, woven from the top in one piece. So they said to each other, "Let us not tear it, but cast lots for it, whose it shall be," in order that the scripture might be filled, which says, "They divide my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots." The soldiers therefore indeed did this. And by the stake of Yeshua stood his mother and his mother's sister, Miriam the wife of Clopas, and Miriam from Magdala. Then Yeshua, seeing his mother and the 3rd one, whom he loved, standing by, he said to his mother, "Woman, see your son." Then to the 3rd one he said, "See your mother." And from that hour, that 3rd one took her to his own home. After this, Yeshua, knowing that all had been accomplished, in order that the scripture might be accomplished, said, "I thirst." A bowl of sour wine stood there, and they filled the sponge with sour wine, put it on a hyssop, and held it to his mouth. So when Yeshua took the sour wine, he said, "It has been accomplished." And bowing his head, he gave up his ruach. Therefore, since it was the preparation day, that the body should not remain on the stake on the Sabbath, for that Sabbath was a high one. The Yehudim asked Pilate to have their legs broken, and that they be taken away. Therefore the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first, and of the other who was nailed with him. But when they came to Yeshua and saw that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. But one of the soldiers pierced his side with a spear, and instantly blood and water came out. And he who has seen has witnessed, and his witness is true. And he knows that he is speaking the truth, in order that you might believe. For this took place in order for the scripture to be filled. Not one of his bones shall be broken. And again another scripture says, they shall look on him whom they pierced. And after this, Joseph of Arimathea, being a taught one of Yeshua, but secretly, for fear of the Yehudim, asked Pilate that he might take the body of Yeshua. And Pilate gave permission. Therefore he came and took the body of Yeshua. And Nicodemus, who at first came to Yeshua by night, also came, bringing a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100 pounds. Then they took the body of Yeshua and bound it in linen wrappings with the spices, as was the habit of the Yehudim for burial. And at the place where he was nailed there was a garden, and in the garden a fresh tomb in which no one had yet been laid. There, then, because of the preparation day of the Yehudim, they laid Yeshua, because the tomb was near.